Hey everyone, I'm Dan Kaplan from SE Magazine. I'm pleased to be joined by Dimitri McKay, who is a security architect at LogLogic. Dimitri, thanks for coming into the offices today.
Thanks for having me.
LogLogic does log management, so I want to talk about that in a bit. But you were down in DC at the at Black Hat. Anything cool down there that you?
There was. I thought the coolest thing is a gentleman named. He looks like Justin Bieber. Thomas Roth. He was the gentleman who used 4 GPUs to crack some encryption, which I thought was really cool. He did it in less than 10 minutes for like $2 worth of Amazon EC2 time. So, and I think it got some governments worked up about it.
Yeah.
Really cool.
Is he going to get the teenage girl following that Justin Bieber has? For
Maybe in the nerd sector.
Yeah. So you got to post it on YouTube and then maybe get some response there.
Indeed.
So when we think about log management, obviously often you think about PCI because that's a big part of those requirements there. Folks, retailers and whatnot who are trying to meet compliance with PCI, is a log management piece, are they getting a better handle on it? What are you hearing from your clients who you deal with?
They are. Compliance mandates require audit trail. And it can be for as much as 1 year and as far up as I've seen 10 years as a requirement. And over that amount of time, it's a lot of data. Mm-hmm. And it's not just, okay, we've collected it, but what more can we do with it? Can we alert on it? Can we report on it? Can we search on it? And is the data immutable? I mean, if the FBI comes knocking on the door and wants some very specific data, can we give it to them and prove that it hasn't been tampered with? Yeah,
and that possibility of that happening seems to be more frequent as we as the days go on here. So are they they're finding complexity with that because they need to store that sort of level of information and that sort of thing?
Well, there's a couple pieces there. The first piece is traditionally everyone had their own silos of data, and the challenge that people had was are we compliant with that? Because with each individual silo, you're looking at basically a tree. They're not seeing the whole forest. So bringing everything into one place, well, now it's a lot more powerful. Now we can see trends, we can see anomalies, we can see changes, we've got a much bigger picture of what's taking place in the environment. And on the compliance side, the challenge that really, I think, as customers, as patients, as citizens, the challenge that was taking place was that our data was not being protected. So these compliance mandates came out of the fact that the enterprise really wasn't doing a great job of protecting us. And so these mandates have really been put in place to protect us. And how are they protecting us? Well, they're requiring that organizations have at least the most basic level of security. That people are running their firewalls, that they're collecting their data, that they have an audit trail, that they have antivirus. Basics, which is it's a great step forward. It gets us to at least the bottom level, but then we have room to go up.
You also mentioned that it provides some visibility, and when we're talking about these huge networks and huge numbers of endpoints and third parties coming in and coming out of the network and that sort of thing, having that operational visibility into what's going on in the network, I would imagine that's a priority as well.
Oh, sure. I mean, not only so we can talk about security all day and maybe monitoring failed logon attempts is of interest. But if you think on the operational side also, monitoring successful attempts, successful logons is also really interesting. We had a customer who had a service that kept authenticating to the same machine. It was an application had gone sideways, and this thing was just banging away at the domain controller, so there was a performance hit there. There was an operational issue there. And by bringing that data in, sure, security, 10 logon failures, what's going on here, but also the accepts. Same thing for infrastructure. Being able to monitor the accepted connections, you're able to see, okay, operationally, what's running across my firewall? What's consuming my bandwidth? Versus on the security side, that same scenario, what type of data is running across the firewall? Is it BitTorrent data? Is it some sort of virus outbreak? So there's two sides of it, but both benefit, operational and security. And both of those make up compliance.
Yeah. A lot of folks, I guess, specifically started more on the SMB side, and I guess it eventually worked its way up to the larger enterprise that are considering about cloud. Obviously, if they're gonna migrate to the cloud, they want to ensure that that data can still be logged, right? So, where does log management play into the movement over to the cloud from both the end user and also the provider end?
Sure. So it's funny because the word cloud is a new word.
I actually have no idea what it even really means.
Well, I mean,
or I'm confused at least.
Sure. Well, I mean, it's a technology that has been around since mainframes, and we're finally getting it right. People say, well, I don't use cloud, but we've all used cloud. We all continue to use cloud, but we don't know it. If you've used webmail, Gmail, Hotmail, Yahoo Mail, that's cloud. If you've used Twitter, cloud. If you used Google Docs, all of these are cloud services that are available to you in the cloud. You can get your mail from anywhere because you're logging into the cloud.
And that's predominantly the SaaS applications,
yes,
right?
Yeah. Software as a service. That's exactly right. So as consumers, we use cloud. Now, as time goes by, there's two sides of the cloud story. There's security and there's cost. Now, I'm not sure that, some people say, well, if I put my data in the cloud, is it safe? I also ask, well, your data in your data center, is that safe? Because, how's your infrastructure? How's your administrators? How's your local security policy? Is it better than what's available in the cloud? Do you have visibility of that data now? Well, what about up there?
So a key probably to remove, and a lot of the worry about moving over to the cloud is that you're losing control of your data and that sort of thing. So if there's a way to let end users know that this stuff still can be logged and this stuff you can still get that visibility into it even though it's kind of out of your control, that would, I would imagine, satiate some of their concerns.
Sure, and honestly, the cost is a big driver. People look at the cost and they can't deny that this is probably the way forward. But they're also struggling with that, control. But we can bring these two together, the compliance, the cost and the control, by putting it in the cloud, by understanding what the services are available. Okay, I have my data in the cloud. Fantastic. Where is my data? Is it in this country? Is it in another country? What are the local laws regarding that data? Some countries, for example, you can't export log data out of the country. Well, maybe I don't want to store my data in the cloud there in that country. As I lose track of my thought. You should also keep in mind the other services like, is my data at rest encrypted? That's something I'd want because it's a lot harder to steal the data if it's locked down. And also understanding local security policies. Is your cloud provider being audited, internal and external? Understanding what they're offering and also what the SLA policy is can help quite a bit.
Yeah, a lot to work into that service level agreement. Okay, well, I appreciate the comments. Dimitri McKay, who's security architect at LogLogic. We thank you for coming into the city today. Despite it, we had a big snowstorm last night.
Indeed.
But hopefully it'll be dry for at least the next day or so. Again, thank you.
No problem.